kind of what was the timeline on you being named, on the interim deal, and just kind of what you feel about it? And have you done this before as an interim type thing?
Yeah, well, Coach had the surgery this morning, and he shared that with me last night, day before yesterday, that he was going to finally go get his surgery. We had talked about it for a while, as far as him getting his surgery, but he shared that with me, that I was going to coach the team while he was away, and looking for his speedy recovery to get back with his basketball team. And yes, I've been able to do this several times during my coaching career. And so going through it is not the first time in this environment like this. When I was coaching at Golden State, I coached 17 games with Coach Nelson there. So this is not a new thing. Plus, I've been around Coach Muss for so long and have a good understanding of how how his approach was to being here and watching him work every day. And so as I share with the team that, I'm going to do everything I can to stay as close to the vest, how we've been doing things. But I got to coach it in my style and my personality. And I talked with Coach about that, and he said, "Hey, just do what you need to do. Keep preparing this team to get ready to play a game."
Since that lineup was so successful last night, I mean, you feel like you take that again to Baton Rouge, go with the same five to start with?
Yeah, that's the plan. The plan is to move forward with that. Watch how they play together, how they communicate with each other. How they communicate defensively, but I thought more than anything, and we all thought that the way they came out into the game and approached it, it set the tone very, very early.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hutch.
Yeah, Coach, we know you've coached at the professional level quite a long time, and I'm curious how your time in college has gone so far. And do you feel like, since you've got so many games on your belt as an assistant, that may have better prepared you for this opportunity as an interim coach?
I think the thing coming in from from the NBA coaching and then being here in college, basketball is all the same, relatively the same. You're going to coach the game. You're going to look at different ideals and thoughts on offense and defense. That part is going to be the same. The biggest thing that I had to adjust to and learn more than anything was the recruiting aspect of everything, along with your daily day-to-day business that you have to do as far as preparing for a basketball team, preparing young men to go out and play, all those things there. So that was one of the big things that, that I had to adjust to and learn as I got into it. And I came in here with no ego, just to focus on growing and learning as a college coach.
Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Coach, just wanted to get your thoughts on Jalen Williams. He's been rebounding the ball really well the last 3 games, got a couple double-doubles in a row. What have you thought of his efforts on the glass and kind of how he's led you guys in that area in league play so far?
Yeah, I think, Scotty, I think what he's done so far is he's gotten in better conditioning. He's put the time in. I think he's healthy. You've seen the bounce in how he's playing now. So I think that's going to be a big plus for him moving forward. He has all the abilities to be one of the top rebounds in the league. And as he continues to grow, he can be one of the top rebounds in the country that coach thinks of how he can play and how he can do things. But he's showing what he's capable of doing. And I think for him to just be in better conditioning, and he's gotten there, and as well as his approach to the game. That's the biggest key for him and what he's done thus far. And I think health-wise, that's always a big plus.
It was a quick turnaround from last night, but with you saying that you guys kind of want to move forward with that same lineup from last night, would you consider, I guess, Kamani like day-to-day? Might he be a game time decision, or kind of what do you know about that right now?
Yeah, Kamani, he's still being evaluated. And we'll know as we move forward. Obviously you got to travel, and you got to see how he responds to traveling, with his ankle and things like that. So, because, you get a little compression there from traveling. But our staff, the training staff, is doing an incredible job to get him up, and hopefully we have a chance for him to play in this game.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis.
Coach, I imagine you probably got a couple practices to go before this game, but what have you thought about the response of the guys so far since hearing the news, and just how confident are you they can carry over the momentum from last night into the weekend?
Well, I think the one benefit that myself, Gus, and Clay and all the other coaches here must give us a lot of freedom on the floor. We have stations all throughout. I'm sure you guys have been to some few practices, but we have stations during the course of practice, and each coach get a chance to coach these young men throughout the day. And so I think we continue to do the same thing that we always have done. without any big changes other than obviously I'm coaching and Coach Moss is not here. But overall, everything kind of stays the same. We coach these young men. We make sure they're doing things the right way on the floor and off the floor. And now it's just a matter of the game. And yes, momentum is key in any game, and this is no different. They feel very confident in what they have done and what they had to do last night. But I think more importantly, they felt good about sharing the game with each other. And they really felt good about it. You saw at the end of the game with our young bench coming in and some of those guys making some plays and how the crowd responded. But if you look closely, you look at how the players responded to those guys when they made plays.
And obviously it's a pretty good LSU team that you're playing this weekend. What stands out to you about them, maybe particularly what they do on the defensive end?
That's the one thing, what they do on the defensive end because of their length and their athleticism that they have. They cover a lot of ground and they do a great job of switching and trying to flatten you out to make you have to play from out on the perimeter. And we have to be smart with the basketball. Things that we've been trying to do is take care of the turnovers. You're going to have those in the game because you play an imperfect game, but what you don't want to do is move over a bigger number that you can't recover from. If you have a turnover that you're close around the basket, that kind of helps you a little bit because you can get back a little bit defensively. But if you have a turnover up around the foul line or 3-point line, then you very seldom do you recover, and especially against this team because their ability to attack the rim, you don't get recovered from those.
Bob?
Keith, I know you're from Baton Rouge. Your Wikipedia page says you were born there, so I assume that's right. This would be a big deal no matter who you guys were playing, but what's it mean to you to go back to your hometown as the interim coach of the Razorbacks?
Well, it wasn't even just going back as an interim coach. It was the fact that even just being here as an assistant and going back as an assistant coach to be there, because you do COVID and everything. It was a hard time. I hadn't seen my parents, my mom in a long time because of COVID. Then, of course, my schedule got pretty busy, so that was already going to be a big moment, with relatives wanting to come to that game. We already had that conversation with a great deal of my family members, now to go back and coach. One thing about it, my family's been around me obviously for a long period of time and have watched me coach. When we played the Pelicans, they always would take that trip up to New Orleans and come watch a game every time we played there. So nowadays it's right there in Baton Rouge at LSU, just makes it a bit more sweeter. But I think more than anything, just going down there, they have known me as a coach. And now there's no different going into this environment.
How many family do you anticipate having there?
Well, I won't say it out loud because a couple of them may be watching. So I'll just say I'll make a decision game time.
But you're going to have a good crew?
Yeah, we should have a good crew there. Yeah, we should have a good crew that come out. Obviously, I two people that I got to take care of all the time, but my wife won't be there. But I make sure my mom and my wife are always taken care of. And after that, I'll just have the other people mad at me.
Did LSU recruit you as a player?
Well, there's a whole nother story to that one as well with LSU. They recruited me very small, but at that time I was not a top recruited kid out of McKinley High School, and I probably would not have gone to school at home. But the only time that I got a chance to go into at that time, what it was called the Assembly Hall, Assembly Center, one of the two, was when the Washington Bullets at that time with their name and the Atlanta Hawks played there. And myself and 3 other friends had a chance to get into that building and watch that game. And so going back into that environment again, from being a little kid, probably around, I think I was probably around 11, 12, somewhere in that area, to go back there. So it'd be a special place. Obviously we used to walk around that campus and see Mike the Tiger and all those good things. So.
And I know you beat him in '87 on your way to the national title. How sweet was that? And did they recruit you out of JUCO? Because obviously you were heavily recruited out of junior college.
Well, I didn't get recruited by them out of JC because I had already pretty much determined what schools I was going to go to. And LSU was not one of them. But I knew a lot of the players because I played with those guys in the summertime. And then one of the players on the team, his dad coached at my high school, Teddy Brown.
Okay. I got a couple more. If turn back over to Mike, or if you want me to finish, I don't know what's.
Christina, you still have a question?
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering how involved, you touched on this a little bit, but how involved Eric will be over these next few days and these next couple games, and how much of it has been him kind of saying, hey, you can kind of do your own thing.
Well, I talked with Coach last night, obviously, and then talked with him briefly before, and we text back and forth. And I'm going to share everything that I do. I'm sharing it with him. He told me just go out and coach the game. Just do what you need to do, and so that's the approach that I'm taking. But I'll communicate with him on everything that I'm doing, every thought, idea that I might have. I'll run that by him, so there are no surprises if he sees something on television or at a practice that he can comment on. But I'll always have reasons as to why I'm doing certain things. But again, he and I have such a great relationship for so long that he trusts what I'm doing. The background benefit of that is that I'm trying to help him win games, and he's trying to help me grow as a coach.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bob, finish this out.
Okay. Eric has to be in excruciating pain to have had the surgery during the season. What were you? He told us the other day it was getting worse, not better. So maybe it's not a surprise he decided to get the surgery now. But just what did you see from him? And when he told you, he told you that on Tuesday that he was going to get surgery. I mean, did you think, yeah, you need to get surgery, or you were surprised, or what was your reaction to that?
Well, as he obviously went through it and started going through a day-to-day and practicing and trying to get through and push himself through the practices and everything. But obviously I knew what he would face, just like everyone on the staff knew what was taking place. One of my sons had the same surgery. So I knew that he played football through it, and he tried to keep pushing through it to a point where it just couldn't go any farther. And eventually had it, and he bounced back greatly, from that surgery. So we wish the speedy recovery for Coach to get back around the team, around his team, around us. But you knew it was wearing on, because when you can't really sleep a little bit, that becomes a problem. And I think Coach was fighting through it as much as he can. He competes at everything. But this is just one competition that he just couldn't win, and he made the decision, and so he get him back on the road to speedy recovery.
And then the lineup last night, I guess I didn't know. People smarter than me told me that lineup had never played together, those five on the floor all season. So when Eric says, okay, this is who we're going to start, basically JD and four, forwards, and I added up, I think going in, those guys had averaged 47.5, and obviously JD the most of that. What was your reaction when Eric said, okay, this is who we're going to start? And what did you think?
Well, see, I think putting it on the floor to play it and go out and as coach put it on the floor, but there were times in practice where certain groups of combinations were on the floor as well. They just hadn't played on the floor in a real game, but those guys are comfortable with each other. I mean, we've been working with each other for so long, and each guy's had an opportunity to be on that floor, and that group came together, and Coach thought that would work, because what you needed in that game last night was physicality, and those guys brought that to that table, and I think that's why we took control of the game very early.
Yeah, and I know LSU, they think they started 7 foot, 6'8", 6'7". They're pretty physical. I mean, do you feel like this could be a good combo for a team like LSU too?
Well, I think you got to be smart. You got to be physical, but yet you got to be smart. You have to take care of the basketball. You have to take good shots. You have to have timely offensive rebounding opportunities. So you can't get beyond yourself. We have to just focus on what we did last night, clean up some things today as we did, jump into a little brief moment of prep for LSU. And then we'll get into more of it on tomorrow. But I think overall, the focus on this team here is enjoy what you did last night, how you did it last night, and how you prepared for it several days prior to that. And we'll do the same thing approaching LSU.
I know it was a long time ago. Everybody remembers you for the shot against Syracuse, but I'm sure beating LSU was a pretty big moment for you. I think that might have been the Bobby Knight phone game. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, maybe I'm mixed it up. But what do you remember about that game? I think you guys had a big comeback. I was reading up on it a little bit.
I think he was ordering a pizza and they put the wrong ingredients on it. And I think that's why he did that. But I enjoyed, it was good because I played against so many of those guys. And plus being able to go to the Final Four. I think when we moved through that team, it was an opportunity for us to have a chance to go to the Final Four. LSU was a team that we had to beat to get that opportunity. And that's what happened. As we played that game, won that game, moved to the next round, and coming home in the summertime, you know, you didn't get a chance to see some of those guys because you played before in the summertime with them, but everyone was so busy with everything going on. I went straight from there to the Pan American game, so I didn't get a chance to go home for a long period of time. But you had the bragging rights for that period of time.
BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile wagering to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.